Blood doesn't wash off. Not really. You can scrub your hands raw, use all the soap in the world, watch the water run clear. But you still feel it. Still feel the warmth of it, the slickness, the way it pools between your fingers when you're trying to hold someone's insides inside, the way it dries sticky under your nails, the way it becomes part of you. I haven't worn gloves in 6 months, not because I don't want to, because I ran out. We all ran out. Standard issue medical supplies don't last long when you're treating 30 casualties a day in 100-degree heat with humidity that makes the jungle feel like a greenhouse. So you do it barehanded. Press your skin against their skin, your hands into their wounds, your humanity against their mortality. And you try not to think about whose blood is mixing with whose, about infections and disease and all the things they taught you to avoid in medical training. You just do the work, keep them alive. That's the only thing that matters. Private First Class Samuel David Brooks, 22 years old. From Detroit, Michigan. Combat medic with the 101st Airborne Division, stationed in I Corps, northern South Vietnam. I've been in country for 8 months. Treated maybe 800 wounded. Maybe more. Lost count after the first 100. They blur together after a while. The faces, the wounds, the ones who lived and the ones who died while I worked on them. I wanted to be a doctor. That was the plan. Pre-med at Wayne State, then medical school. Then a practice in Detroit helping people. Healing, saving lives, noble work. But money was tight. Dad got laid off from the Chrysler plant, and I couldn't afford tuition. The Army recruiter said they'd pay for medical school if I served first. Said I'd get real-world experience. Said being a combat medic would make me a better doctor. He didn't mention I'd be practicing battlefield surgery with no training, no equipment, and no hope of saving most of them. They trained us at Fort Sam Houston in Texas. 8 weeks of combat medical training. How to treat gunshot wounds, shrapnel injuries, burns, shock, trauma. How to use morphine, start IVS, apply tourniquets and pressure dressings. How to triage, who to treat first, who could wait, who was beyond help. All of it clinical, sterile, practiced on dummies and in classrooms that smelled like disinfectant and institutional floor wax. Nothing like the jungle, nothing like the real thing. They taught us the proper procedures, sterile technique, gloves, always gloves. Don't contaminate the wound. Don't cross-contaminate between patients. Follow protocols. Stay clean. By the book. In Vietnam, the book burned in the first monsoon. Now we just do what works. And what works is your bare hands and whatever supplies you can scrounge and the knowledge that you're probably not saving them. You're just keeping them alive long enough for the medevac to take them somewhere that might. I got to Vietnam in October '68. They assigned me to Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 502nd Infantry, Line Company, Infantry, the sharp end. We humped through the jungle, set up night positions, ran patrols, made contact with the enemy. And when contact happened, when the shooting started and men started falling, I ran toward the sound of medic while everyone else ran away from it. That's the job. Run toward the dying while bullets are still flying. Expose yourself while they're still shooting, because those men need you now, not after the firefight ends. By then, it might be too late. My first casualty was a kid named Thompson from Ohio. Took an AK round through the shoulder. Not a bad wound. Missed the major vessels through and through. Survivable. I had gloves then. Had a full aid bag. Had morphine and bandages and everything I needed. Treated him by the book. Applied pressure. Controlled bleeding. Dressed the wound. Called for medevac. Professional. Clean. Sterile technique. Everything they taught us. Thompson made it. Recovered fully. Probably went home, got married, had kids, lived a normal life. That's what I tell myself anyway, that the first one made it because I did everything right, because I still had supplies and ideals and the belief that following procedure mattered. By my 3rd month, I'd stopped believing in procedure, stopped believing in anything except the immediate moment, the current casualty, the wound in front of me. Keep them alive. Move to the next one. Repeat until the shooting stops or you die trying. That's when the gloves ran out. The day I started treating wounds barehanded was February 6, 1969. We were on a patrol in the Aishau Valley. Alpha Company, full strength, maybe 90 men. Search and destroy mission. Find the enemy, kill them, move on. Standard Vietnam operation. We found them, or they found us, doesn't matter which. At 1400 hours, we walked into an L-shaped ambush. NVA Company dug in, waiting. They opened up with everything. AK-47s, machine guns, RPGs, mortars. The jungle exploded. Men started falling. Medic. First call came from the point squad. I ran forward, through the fire, through the chaos. Found Private Marcus Johnson from Alabama, 19 years old, took a round through the thigh. Femoral artery. Arterial blood pumping out with every heartbeat. Bright red. Pulsing. He'd be dead in 3 minutes without intervention. I reached into my aid bag for gloves. Found 1 pair left. 1. I'd been rationing them, saving them for major trauma. This qualified. I pulled them on. They were damp from humidity, stiff from dried sweat and blood from previous casualties. But they were gloves. Barrier between me and his blood. Protocol. Procedure. Sterile technique. I pressed my gloved hands into his wound. Applied pressure. The blood kept coming. Too much pressure. Not enough pressure. The artery was severed, pumping, killing him. I needed to clamp it, tie it off, do real surgery. But I wasn't a surgeon. I was a combat medic with basic training and a torn pair of gloves that were already soaking through. Stay with me, Marcus. You're gonna be fine. Just stay with me. Lies, but necessary lies. Can't let them see your doubt. Can't let them know they're dying. Keep them calm. Keep them hopeful. Keep them alive long enough for hope to maybe become real. Medic! Another call behind me. Someone else hit. I couldn't leave Marcus. Couldn't take my hands off his wound. If I did, he'd bleed out in seconds. But someone else needed me. Someone else was dying. That's the impossible choice. Who lives? Who dies? Who do you abandon to save someone else? Medic, M-E-D-I-C. Oh, God, medic. The screaming was desperate, agonized. Someone hurt bad, someone I needed to help. But Marcus was bleeding out under my hands, and if I left him, he'd die, and if I stayed, the other guy might die, and there was no right choice, no good option, just 2 men dying and 1 medic who couldn't split himself in half. The platoon sergeant, Staff Sergeant Williams, crawled over. Brooks, I got him. Go help the others. His femoral's cut. You gotta maintain pressure. I know. I got him. G.O. I pulled my hands away. Blood immediately welled up where I'd been pressing. Williams replaced my hands with his. I scrambled toward the other call. Heard Williams behind me. Stay with me, Johnson. You're gonna be fine. The same lies I'd told, because that's what you do. I found the next casualty, Specialist Rodriguez from Texas. Took an RPG fragment to the abdomen. His intestines were outside his body, gray-pink coils of bowel spilling from a massive wound. He was conscious, looking down at his own guts. In shock, probably. Disbelief. This can't be real. This can't be happening to me. Don't look, I told him. Just look at me. Look at my face. Focus on me. I reached for my aid bag. For gauze, for bandages, for something to cover the wound, for gloves. I pulled out the last compress bandage. No gloves. I'd used my last pair on Marcus. The rest were gone, used up, depleted, requisitioned, but never delivered. The supply chain was broken somewhere between the rear and the field, and the result was me staring at a man's exposed intestines with nothing but my bare hands. No choice, no time. He was dying. I pressed my naked hands against his wound, felt his intestines, warm, slippery, pulsing with blood flow, human tissue against my skin, no barrier, no protection, just flesh against flesh. This is what's inside us, I thought. This is what we are. Fragile bags of meat and fluid held together by skin and hope. I tried to push his intestines back inside, tried to make his body whole again. But there was too much damage, too much trauma, too big a hole. I couldn't fix this, couldn't make it right, could only try to control the bleeding, pack the wound, keep him alive long enough for a surgeon, a real surgeon with real equipment, to try to save him. Medic! Another call, and another, and another. The ambush had caught us perfect. We had maybe 20 casualties in the first 5 minutes. 20 men down, bleeding, dying, and me, one medic, with bare hands and a depleting aid bag and the knowledge that I couldn't save them all. Couldn't even save most of them. I moved from casualty to casualty, treated wounds with my bare hands, blood soaking into my skin, under my nails, in the creases of my palms. Each wound different, gunshot, shrapnel, burns from a white phosphorus grenade. Each man different, terrified, calm, screaming, silent. All of them bleeding. All of them needing more than I could give. The gloves were gone. The gauze was running low. The morphine syringes were almost depleted. But the casualties kept coming, kept calling for me, kept dying while I worked on them with bare hands that were sticky with blood that wasn't mine, but might as well have been because it was everywhere, coating everything, becoming part of me. By 14:30 hours, I was out of almost everything. Morphine gone, bandages gone, IV supplies gone. All I had left were my hands and basic first aid knowledge and the desperate need to keep these men alive. A private named Chen, kid from San Francisco, wanted to be an engineer, took a round through the chest. Sucking chest wound, air pulling in through the hole with every breath, collapsing his lung. I needed an occlusive dressing, something to seal the wound. I had nothing, no plastic sheets, no petroleum gauze, nothing. I pressed my bare hand over the wound, sealed it with my palm, felt the air trying to suck in, felt his chest working against my hand, felt the blood bubbling between my fingers, held it there, applied pressure, used my body as a bandage because I had no other choice. You're doing great, Chen. Just keep breathing, slow and steady. You're gonna make it. He looked at me, believed me, trusted that I knew what I was doing, that my hand over his chest wound was medical treatment and not desperate improvisation. Trusted that I was saving him and not just delaying the inevitable. I couldn't leave him, couldn't take my hand away, but another casualty needed me. Another voice calling medic, in that particular tone that means dying, dying right now. Come quick, or it'll be too late. Can you hold this? I asked one of Chen's squad mates, showed him where to press. Keep pressure. Don't let air in. Understand? He nodded, scared, didn't want to do it, but did it anyway because that's what you do for your brothers. I pulled my hand away. Blood and air and fluid coated my palm. I wiped it on my pants, already soaked with blood from a dozen other casualties, and moved to the next one. Corporal Stevens, landmine. Both legs gone below the knee. Tourniquets already applied by his buddy. Good. Someone who'd been paying attention during first aid training. The tourniquets were saving his life, but he was going into shock. Pale, rapid pulse, confused, asking where his legs were, why he couldn't feel them, why everything felt cold. I had no intravenous fluids left, nothing to treat the shock, nothing to warm him, just my hands and my voice. You're okay, Stevens. You're gonna be fine. We got medevac coming. You'll be in a hospital in 20 minutes. Clean sheets, pretty nurses. You'll be fine. More lies. The medevac wasn't coming yet, too hot to land. The shooting was still going on. We needed to secure the LZ first, suppress the enemy fire, make it safe enough for the helicopter to come in. That would take time. Time Stevens might not have. I checked his tourniquets, tightened them. My bare hands slick with his blood. His blood mixing with Chen's blood and Rodriguez's blood and Marcus's blood. Everyone's blood becoming one blood on my hands. A communion of trauma. A baptism of carnage. Talk to me, Stevens. Stay awake. Tell me about home. Got a girl, Sarah, gonna marry when I get back. That's great. Tell me about her. She's pretty, smart, teaches second grade. He was fading, slurring, shock taking him. I needed to keep him talking, keep him conscious, keep him anchored to life. But another voice was calling, another casualty, another dying man who needed me more than Stevens did right now because Stevens was stable, dying, but stable. And this new voice was frantic, urgent, the sound of death arriving imminently. I left Stevens talking about Sarah, the second grade teacher, ran to the next casualty, found what was left of Private Williams. Not the sergeant, different Williams, younger, never learned his first name. Took a direct hit from an RPG. There was nothing I could do. Nothing anyone could do. He was already gone, body present, but soul departed, and I was standing there with blood-covered hands looking at what an RPG does to a human being when it hits center mass. I should have closed his eyes, should have said something, should have treated him with dignity. But there was no time for dignity, no time for the dead when the living were dying. I moved on, left him there, added him to the list of men I couldn't save. The list was getting long. The firefight lasted 3 hours. 3 hours of constant casualties, of working on men with bare hands, of making impossible choices about who to treat first, of watching them die despite everything I did, of surviving not because I was good enough, but because bullets happened to miss me while I worked. The medevac finally came in around 1700. We'd secured the LZ enough, still taking occasional fire, but not the concentrated hell of the initial ambush. The Huey touched down. Beautiful sound, rotor blades and turbine whine, and we loaded casualties. Priorities first, the ones who die without immediate surgery. Marcus with his femoral artery, Rodriguez with his eviscerated abdomen, Chen with his sucking chest wound, Stevens with his missing legs, 8 men on that first bird. All critical. All might die anyway. But at least they had a chance now. A surgeon, real equipment, an operating room instead of jungle dirt and bare hands. The helicopter lifted off. We loaded the next priority casualties, and the next, and the next. The medevacs kept coming, 4 birds total. We sent out 18 wounded. Left behind 7 dead, including Private Williams and 4 others who'd died while I was treating someone else. Who'd called for a medic and died before I could reach them. Who'd bled out while I was elbow deep in someone else's wounds. 7 dead, 18 wounded, 25 casualties out of 90 men, nearly 30%. A bad day, an expensive patrol. But we'd completed the mission, found the enemy, engaged them, drove them off. Success by military metrics, victory on paper. But I stood there in that LZ with blood dried on my hands, blood from 20 different men, all mixed together, impossible to separate, and it didn't feel like victory. Felt like failure, like I hadn't done enough, hadn't saved enough, hadn't been good enough. You did good, Doc. That's what they called me. Doctor. Not Brooks, not Samuel. Doctor. Because I was the medic, and that made me something more than my name. Made me the person who saved them, except when I didn't. You saved lives today. Did I? Or did I just delay deaths? How many of those 18 wounded would make it? How many would die on the operating table or in recovery or from infections later? How many would live but wish they hadn't? How many would go home missing parts of themselves? Legs, arms, pieces of their soul. I didn't know. Couldn't know. Just knew that my hands were covered in their blood and I didn't have water to wash them. Didn't have soap. Didn't have gloves for the next time, because there would be a next time. Tomorrow, or the next day, or next week. Another ambush, another firefight, another set of casualties I'd treat with bare hands because the supply chain was broken and the war didn't care about sterile technique. We set up a perimeter for the night, dug in, posted guards. I sat in my fighting position and tried to clean my hands. Used water from my canteen, precious water I should have been drinking to wash away the blood. Scrubbed with dirt when the water wasn't enough. Picked dried blood from under my fingernails. Watched it dissolve back into liquid, back into red, back into what it was. Human life, leaked out, carried on my hands. The blood came off, eventually. Water running dark red, then pink, then clear. Skin showing through. My hands looking normal again. Clean, like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't spent 3 hours with my bare hands in other people's wounds. But I could still feel it. Still feel the warmth of fresh blood, the slickness of intestines, the texture of exposed muscle, the desperate pulse of severing arteries. All of it seared into my sense memory, encoded in my nervous system, permanent. One of the other guys offered me food, sea rations, ham and lima beans. I couldn't eat, couldn't put anything in my mouth with these hands that had been inside other people. Knew it was irrational. I'd washed them, they were clean, but couldn't do it. Couldn't separate the memory from the present. Couldn't unknow what these hands had touched. I didn't sleep that night, kept seeing them. The casualties, the wounds, Rodriguez's intestines gray-pink and glistening, Marcus's blood pumping between my fingers, Chen's chest wound sucking air, Stevens asking about his legs, Williams already dead when I reached him, all of them playing on repeat behind my closed eyes, and my hands. I kept looking at my hands, turning them over, examining the palms, the fingers, the spaces between. Looking for blood I knew wasn't there anymore, but feeling like it was. Like it would always be there. Like no amount of washing would ever make them clean again. We got resupplied 3 days later. The supply helicopter brought ammunition, rations, water, and medical supplies, including gloves, 3 boxes of them, sterile, packaged, perfect. Too late for Marcus and Rodriguez and Chen and Stevens. Too late for the 20 men I'd treated with bare hands. But here they were, ready for the next time. I opened a box, pulled out a pair, latex, thin, fragile, but they were gloves. Barrier between me and the blood, protection, distance. The illusion that I could do this job without it becoming part of me. I put them on, felt the latex tight against my skin. Artificial, wrong. My hands felt trapped, insulated, disconnected. I pulled them off, put them back in the box. Couldn't do it. Couldn't wear gloves anymore. Because something had changed. Something had broken or been revealed or had always been true, but I'd only just realized. The gloves weren't protection. They were denial. A barrier that let me pretend I wasn't intimately connected to every casualty I treated, that their blood wasn't mingling with mine, that we weren't all the same flesh and fluid and fragile mortality. When you treat wounds with bare hands, you can't pretend, can't maintain clinical distance, can't be the professional medic following sterile procedure. You're just human, skin against skin, blood mixing. Humanity touching humanity in the most raw, desperate way possible. The gloves let you lie to yourself. Let you think you're separate, protected, safe. But you're not. You're in it with them, connected, vulnerable. Every wound you touch becomes part of you. Every person you treat leaves something behind. Blood under your nails, memories in your mind, weight on your soul. I couldn't go back to gloves, couldn't pretend anymore that there was a barrier between me and them, between the living and the dying, between the healer and the wounded. We were all the same, all bleeding, all trying to survive. The only difference was whose blood was on the outside. Sergeant Williams found me sitting there with the gloves in my hands, staring at them like they were foreign objects. "You okay, Doc?" "I can't wear them." "The gloves?" "Can't do it. Can't put them on. Doesn't feel right." He sat down next to me. Didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, "You did everything you could. You know that, right? Those men you treated, they're alive because of you." "Which ones?" "The 18 we medevaxed. How many of them are still alive? How many died on the operating table? How many are wishing they'd died? That's not on you. Then who is it on? Who's responsible for the fact that I treated 20 men with my bare hands because we didn't have supplies? Who's responsible for Chen trusting me when I had no idea what I was doing? Who's responsible for Williams dying while I was somewhere else? The war, the enemy, the circumstances, not you. But I'm the one with their blood on my hands. Literally. I can still feel it, still feel all of them. And the gloves, I held them up. The gloves would let me pretend I didn't, would let me maintain distance, professional, clinical, by the book. But that's a lie. There is no distance, no separation, no clean hands. We're all covered in blood, all of us. The only difference is some of us admit it. Williams didn't respond. What could he say? He wasn't a medic. Didn't understand what it was like to be elbow deep in someone's chest cavity, feeling their heartbeat against your hands, knowing that if you fuck up, they die. Didn't understand the responsibility, the weight, the impossibility of saving everyone. My breaking point wasn't dramatic. No collapse, no breakdown. Just the quiet realization that I couldn't do this job the way I'd been trained. Couldn't maintain clinical distance, couldn't follow sterile procedure, couldn't wear gloves. I'd treat the next casualties the same way I'd treated the last 20, barehanded, intimate, connected. Not because I wanted to, not because it was better, but because it was honest. Because pretending there was a barrier between me and them was a lie I could no longer tell myself. The blood doesn't wash off, not really. It becomes part of you. Absorbed into your skin, into your memory, into your soul. And once you accept that, once you stop fighting it, the gloves become irrelevant. I'm still in Vietnam, still a combat medic, still treating casualties with bare hands, even though we have gloves now, still carrying the blood of every man I've touched, still making impossible choices about who to save, still failing to save enough. I've got 4 months left. 120 days. Then I go home, back to Detroit, back to the plan, medical school practice, healing people in clean hospitals with proper equipment and sterile procedure. Back to a world where doctors wear gloves and follow protocols and don't have to choose who lives and who dies based on who's bleeding fastest. But I don't think I can do it. Don't think I can be that kind of doctor. Because I've seen what's inside people. Felt it with my bare hands. Understood intimately how fragile we are. How easily we break. How much blood we can lose and still somehow survive. How can I practice medicine in a sterile environment after this? How can I maintain clinical distance after treating men barehanded in the jungle? How can I follow procedures when I know they're just comforting lies we tell ourselves to pretend we have control? The other medics think I'm crazy. They wear gloves now that we have them. Follow sterile technique as much as possible. Do things by the book. Professional, proper, the way we were trained. And maybe they're right. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe treating wounds with bare hands when gloves are available is reckless, dangerous, a violation of everything we learned about infection control and cross-contamination and professional medical practice. But I can't go back, can't put up that barrier again. Because bare hands feel honest, Feel real. Feel like I'm actually connecting with the casualty instead of just performing procedure on them. When you press your naked hands into someone's wound, when you feel their blood on your skin, you're not just treating an injury, you're witnessing their humanity, acknowledging that this is a person, not a case, a life, not a medical problem. The blood mixes, theirs and mine. Eventually, you can't tell whose is whose, and that's the point, that's the truth. We're all the same, all flesh and blood and desperate, fragile life trying to survive in a place designed to kill us. I think about the men I've treated. Marcus with his femoral artery, Rodriguez with his eviscerated abdomen, Chen with his sucking chest wound, Stevens with his missing legs. 20 men in one firefight. 800 men in 8 months. Maybe more. I've lost count. Some lived, some died. Some are in hospitals stateside, recovering, going home. Some are buried in Arlington or hometown cemeteries. Some are still here, still fighting, waiting for the next bullet or the next mine or the next ambush that will put them on my casualty list. And all of them have left something with me. Blood under my nails that won't quite wash away. Memories that play on repeat. The feeling of intestines against my palms. The warmth of arterial blood. The texture of exposed bone, the desperate pulse of a failing heart. This is what being a combat medic means. Not the heroism, not the life-saving, but the intimacy, the connection, the way you become part of every casualty you treat, the way their blood gets into your skin, your memory, your soul, the way you carry them with you forever, whether they lived or died, whether you saved them or failed them. I'm 22 years old. I've had my hands inside more people than most surgeons see in a career. I've felt human tissue, human organs, human life slipping away despite everything I did to hold on to it. I've made decisions about who lives and who dies. I've played God in the jungle with inadequate supplies and no real authority and the desperate hope that I'm doing the right thing. The Army will discharge me in 4 months, give me my GI Bill, send me to medical school if that's what I want. Train me to be a real doctor, professional, licensed, legitimate. But I'll never be as intimate with patients as I was in Vietnam. Never press my bare hands into their wounds. Never feel their blood mix with mine. Never be connected in that raw, desperate way that combat medicine requires. I'll wear gloves in medical school, follow sterile procedure, maintain clinical distance, do everything by the book, because that's professional, that's proper, that's how civilian medicine works. But I'll know it's a lie, know that the gloves are just barriers we erect to pretend we're separate from the suffering, to pretend we're not all the same fragile flesh, to pretend that death and life aren't separated by nothing more than pressure in the right place and luck in the moment. I'll carry Vietnam with me, carry the blood that won't quite wash away, carry the memory of treating wounds with bare hands. Carry the knowledge that sometimes the most honest thing you can do is acknowledge your connection to the person you're trying to save. Skin against skin, blood against blood. Life trying to preserve life in the most intimate way possible. This is what I want people to know about combat medicine. It's not heroic. It's not glorious. It's not about saving lives, though sometimes you do. It's about witnessing suffering, connecting with it, accepting it into yourself, letting it become part of you because there's no other honest way to do the work. The blood doesn't wash off. Not really. It becomes part of you. And once you accept that, once you stop trying to maintain distance, you realize that separation is the lie. Connection is the truth. We're all bleeding, all wounded, all trying to survive. Some of us just happen to have the training to help others survive a little longer. But we all carry the blood, all feel it on our hands, all remember the warmth, the slickness, the desperate intimacy of touching another person's life in its most vulnerable moment. I treated wounds with bare hands, not because I'm brave, not because I'm reckless, but because the gloves ran out, and then I realized I didn't need them anyway. Didn't want them. Didn't want the barrier between me and the suffering I was trying to alleviate. The blood is part of me now. Marcus's blood, Rodriguez's blood, Chen's blood, Stevens's blood. 800 casualties worth of blood, all mixed together, all absorbed into my skin, my memory, my soul. I'll go home in 4 months, wash my hands one more time, try to start fresh, try to be normal, try to be the person I was before I learned what's inside people and how easily it spills out. But I'll never be clean, never be separate, never be able to maintain the distance that civilian medicine requires. Because I've touched humanity at its most raw, felt it with my bare hands. Let it become part of me. The blood doesn't wash off. It becomes you. And you learn to carry it, learn to accept it, learn to live with hands that will never quite be clean but are honest in their staining. Combat medic, bare hands, 800 casualties, 4 months left, and the blood. Always the blood. Still warm, still slick, still there when I close my eyes, still part of me when I open them. Forever.